In the crowded courtroom, a hush fell as the bailiff announced the next case. The camera pans to a weary single dad, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and carrying an old briefcase that looked as though it had survived more than its share of battles. His name was Daniel Hayes, a veteran who had sacrificed his youth on foreign soil and returned home only to fight a different kind of war, raising his young daughter alone. Viewers immediately feel the weight of his presence, a man hardened by life but softened by love for his child. The judge, a stern woman known for her cutting remarks and impatience with those who dared step into her courtroom without a lawyer, arched a brow as she looked down at him. "Mr. Hayes, representing yourself again," she said with a hint of mockery, her voice echoing through the chambers. A chuckle rose from one corner of the room, but Daniel didn't flinch. He stood tall, calm, and respectful. He knew humiliation well. It had followed him since the day he returned from war with nothing but medals and scars to show for it. The opposing attorney smirked, his suit crisp and expensive, his briefcase shining with polish. He represented the landlord trying to evict Daniel and his daughter from their modest apartment. To the attorney, this was an easy win. To Daniel, this was everything: the roof over his daughter's head, the fragile stability he had worked so hard to build. The judge leaned back in her chair and said coldly, "Mr. Hayes, this court is no place for amateurs. You'd be wise to let a professional handle your defense." Daniel's jaw tightened, but his eyes remained steady. He spoke softly, almost too softly at first. "With respect, Your Honor, sometimes a man fights best when he's fighting for his child." The audience stirred, but the judge rolled her eyes, dismissing him as another desperate father clinging to hope. The hearing began, and the landlord's attorney launched into his arguments, presenting contracts, documents, and timelines designed to overwhelm any ordinary person. The judge glanced at Daniel, expecting him to crumble, to stutter, to plead for mercy. Instead, Daniel calmly asked for copies of the documents. He flipped through them, his eyes scanning with precision. Then, with a voice that carried strength, he began to dismantle the attorney's arguments one by one. Every objection he raised was sharp, every point backed with legal references the courtroom hadn't expected from a supposed amateur. The attorney's confident grin faded into frustration as Daniel quoted case law and pointed out technical errors buried deep in the contract. The judge's eyes narrowed, her earlier smirk gone. Something about the way Daniel spoke, measured, exact, commanding, felt different. By the second hour, the opposing attorney was sweating. By the third, the courtroom sat in stunned silence as Daniel exposed clause after clause, revealing how the landlord had manipulated tenants with illegal terms. The judge leaned forward now, her mocking tone gone, her respect quietly building. "Mr. Hayes," she finally asked, "where exactly did you learn all of this?" For the first time, Daniel paused. His daughter, sitting quietly in the back row, looked at him with pride. He took a breath and said, "Before the war, before I became a father, I was an attorney. Top of my class. I walked away from it all when life asked me to serve and later when my daughter needed me more than my career ever could." His voice cracked just enough to reveal the years of sacrifice behind his calm exterior. The judge froze. The courtroom gasped. Suddenly, the man they had dismissed as a desperate, fumbling father was revealed to be a brilliant legal mind, someone who had chosen love and service over prestige. The landlord's attorney tried to recover, but it was too late. Daniel's arguments were flawless, his strategy undeniable. When the gavel came down, the ruling was clear: Daniel and his daughter would keep their home. But the real victory was something else. The judge looked down at him, her voice softer than it had ever been. "Mr. Hayes, this court owes you an apology. I misjudged you. Today, you reminded me what justice is truly about." Daniel gave a small nod, not for recognition, but because he had won what mattered: his daughter's security, her faith in him, and the truth that even in brokenness, strength endures. As the camera fades, his daughter runs into his arms, whispering, "I'm so proud of you, Dad." Daniel smiles, not as a lawyer, not as a soldier, but simply as a father who had fought every battle with love at his side. And that's when the voiceover speaks directly to the viewers: never underestimate someone's journey. Behind every scar is a story, behind every sacrifice is strength. If Daniel's story inspired you, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of resilience and love. Because sometimes, the greatest victories are not won in war or in court, they're won in the heart.